Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another special edition of Young Kings Podcast. I'm Kev Mack, and right here with my co-host.
It's me, Just B.
And the lone outlaw, Dylan Oaks.
And today, for the topic, who should have defeated the Streak? Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns? Or should the Streak even should have been ended at all? So I'm going to let you guys debate. Brandon, I'm going to let you go first.
Should the streak have been ended? Absolutely. Absolutely should have, because he had so much momentum, so much success, so much prestige behind that accomplishment. It'd be a waste not to take that and throw it back into the business. And who should have ended it? Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns? The tribal chief? Obviously, it should have been Roman Reigns. He is the guy. The main WWE put all their forces into him. See, the thing about Bray Wyatt is he's not somebody who you're gonna make the face of the company. You want the top dog to be. You want that kind of power to go behind the top dog, the guy who's gonna be the guy who annihilates and rules WWE for potential next 5 to 10 years. So yes, I will say Roman Reigns is the guy, and I'm gonna see what Dylan has to say.
The exact opposite, apparently. So I don't think that the streak should have ended at all. I thought it was that, like, the one transcending thing in WWE is that it was Taker's streak. And if it was supposed to be ended, then that should have been Taker's last match, and it should have been, playing on that. If it had to end, it should have been his last one, not for him to lose it again another time, and then several more. It's like, nah. If it should have never been touched, or it should have been the last. But if it had to have gone, I was gonna go with Bray, mostly because at the time, Roman was Roman. He was up there, but he's nowhere where he wasn't where he is now with Tribal Chief. Mm-hmm. But I thought with Bray, he is the modern day Taker. His characters, especially when he transformed into the Fiend, was the modern day Undertaker. Where Taker is he's up there, but he's not always seen as like the front guy. Like he's his own entity.
Yeah, correct.
Like he's the guy to where the top guy's afraid of.
Yeah.
Like he don't care to be in the top because at the time you also had Stone Cold and Rock,
right,
and they would have been seen as the number one guys. But then there's Taker on the side, who wherever he steps in, he's the number one guy. You can always
plug and play him.
You always plug him in, and because he was that damn good. So I always went with Bray, just because his dark character.
Okay.
Because I think it was at the time he was the Eater of Worlds was when
he was still
he went up against Taker.
Yeah.
He was cult leader Bray.
Yeah.
And then it went to like the Eater of Worlds, and then he went. It was like the Leader of Worlds when he tagged with Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
And then it went to the Fiend, where I thought the Fiend was the perfect modern day version of the Undertaker, because Taker's character would never be.
But in that time period when he fought the Fiend, he wasn't, when Taker lost that streak, he wasn't the Fiend yet. In the same way that Roman Reigns wasn't Roman Reigns.
That is very true.
So I have
but at the same time, they were calling him the new face of fear.
Okay.
Who was more further along in their career at that time?
Oh, Roman Reigns.
I say Bray.
Over Roman Reigns? So, okay. So the streak ends in... Because they were pretty close to... That was around the time they were still feuding with each other and everything. So they were close to a similar level. But the Shield and the Shield was hotter than the Wyatt family.
I have a hard time agreeing with that.
They were close. That's a topic all on its own. That's a topic all on its own. We're going to sit here and go back and forth.
That is another one that we're adding to the list. That's another one for the list.
But I will say, in your argument that the streak should have never ended, what about giving back to the business? Isn't that part of the beauty of wrestling? You have
that is also the beauty of it, but
why sit on all that momentum not to distribute it?
But it's one of those things where Taker's just different. Is where other guys like Stone Cold lost his last match to The Rock, or it's it's kind of like
you
the
transfer
tradition.
that energy, and if you feed it back into the machine.
But the thing is, like, who's going to compete against the streak? Like, what's that going to do to go back into the company? It's like, no one else could have a streak
WWE
like
didn't
that.
sit on it though, because that moment when he took when Roman Reigns beat him, that should have been the catalyst to this tribal chief
It
character.
should have
should
been,
have
but that match really wasn't that great because Taker
Well,
was not in
old by
shape.
then.
Yeah.
Roman should have really beat Taker probably around 20.
And I'm going to say this right now to be pretty clear. Brock never should have been the one to do it.
Oh yeah, I think we both agree.
Flat out,
Brock,
he should not have
but
been the one
it
to do
did
it.
help Brock. You know,
I don't think it did.
It helped Brock in the sense that
It gave him a new shirt.
Brock was intimidating. You know, it helped.
It,
his
like it made
intimidation
sense
factor.
that Brock could be the one guy to
He
do
was
it.
credible
Yeah.
enough to do
Yeah,
that.
and
that was the only
That's the reason why I
reason.
don't have no problem with it, because
He was credible.
when you look at the roster at the time, you go down, you're like, okay, who can beat the Undertaker,
Right.
and it looks legit. Okay, Brock Lesnar,
Mhm.
I can see that, but at the same time, it really sucks because I just feel like,
He was the only one legit enough. Him and Cena.
and I can't remember if this call was made before the match.
It
but
was made right before the match where they
Okay.
switched it because Taker was originally supposed to win.
Yeah.
And then Vince came to Taker with that idea of Brock winning.
But then when you actually watch the match and you see how Taker looks afterwards, it's like
Because he
it looked like it was his last one.
Yeah,
You know? So,
yeah, it really looked like it.
But then when you see his career even went further than that, now it sucks. It was like it was at the wrong time to
It
do
was
it.
a very wrong time. That's what I was saying. Like, if it has to end, then it needed to be planned
Right.
months in advance.
Yeah.
It's like Taker's got to be okay with it. Like this is his last
And
hurrah.
for all we know, he could have planned it and just told Taker that day. He could have been planning to have Taker lose. We don't know.
Yeah.
But also Vince has that reputation of day of shredding the whole script and writing the whole thing and then it not looking.
But
as
I'll
great
ask
as
you
it
this though: who's a bigger asset to WWE? Is it Roman Reigns or Bray Wyatt?
At the time, I thought I would have gone with Bray.
Who did WWE
because,
have more passion for and more long-term vision for?
Well, they kept pushing Roman, but it was not getting received.
It wasn't working
at the time. He was more hated than Cena.
A lot of times, you know,
he was getting
initial-
shoved down the throats, and people.
And
were,
Cena's first push didn't work either until he had to switch it up with Thugonomics. So a lot of
True,
times
yeah,
characters have to find.
but that
themselves.
wasn't really like Roman's first whole setup because I mean he had him in NXT. That wasn't like
barely.
yeah, barely. But I'm saying like that wasn't like Cena's first view was when he came out in the red tights and the red boots.
And Roman
And
came in with the
then not too long after that it was Thugonomics, and then that's when he found his spot. But Roman, it also really didn't help with the Shield because the guy who popped out of the Shield was Rollins. It wasn't Dean or Roman. Rollins was one to really capitalize the best after leaving the Shield, and then I would have gone with Dean and then Roman. Like Roman is good in his own ways, but
Everyone knew the Shield was Roman Reigns' group.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I know.
Everyone knew
I thought-
Roman Reigns
yeah,
was
I
the
thought
star.
they was-
They tried to
was
make it
pushing,
look like
I thought they was pushing Roman because they was making Dean Ambrose seem like he was jealous of Roman. Because I thought because when the Shield first came out, I didn't know Roman, I didn't know Seth, I knew Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
I knew how
Yeah,
talented
you
he
knew Dean
was.
Ambrose.
I see Dean Ambrose in NXT. He had a match against CM Punk when he was WWE champion. Well, okay, this guy, he got some talent. So when they came out, I thought he was going to be the guy that they pushed. But you could tell
As time went on,
the crowd was getting behind Roman.
The crowd was definitely behind
They
Roman.
was pushing Roman. But afterwards, yeah, Seth Rollins kind of
Seth Rollins took it and ran with it.
because
that heel turn.
That heel turn was
when
great.
he became corporate Seth Rollins.
And that cash in was
great. It's just like Seth afterwards. Seth didn't really have that stumbling. Seth didn't have it. He was like a double champ almost every year after that.
Well, the fans really resented Roman at the same time because they knew that Roman was chosen.
Yeah.
They smelt it
and
on.
they don't like
and
that.
they feared,
It's not
and
organic.
the fans
the crowd
feared,
is not okay
They
with
feared
that.
another John
Organic.
Cena coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And so the hatred
I'm
of
not sure
Cena,
that you would say
the
that
hatred of
hate-
John Cena poured into Roman Reigns, and I'm telling you,
I'm
that
not
is-
saying that's only a
what
John
happened.
Cena thing because
No,
there was
the
other
fans resented Cena so
wrestlers
much,
back in the
Roman
day
Reigns
that
got
you
the
could tell are
backlash.
getting pushed, and they just
Yeah,
and they
they're
flop.
going
I mean,
for
like
it,
Drew
yeah.
McIntyre back in the day when he was literally called the chosen one, and he
you
went
can't compare that guy to
nowhere.
Roman Reigns.
I think I can now.
You talking about Curry Drew McIntyre? You
Drew
compare him to
McIntyre
Roman
now
Reigns?
compared to where he was,
You
like
think
how
the
Roman
current
back in the
Drew
day, how
McIntyre-
Roman is
You
now.
think the current Drew McIntyre is as good as Roman Reigns?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Wow, the debate's over, guys.
we got to get back on topic.
Yeah, how are we on Drew now?
So, my opinion, I think when you look at it and you see, you know, how the Roman character turned out, I think they made the right decision. I love Bray. Bray is very talented. I hope eventually he comes back and signs with somebody because he definitely has talent. But when you
He has filed a trademark.
yeah. So
And he did read his tweets because he is definitely one of those guys that still believes in kayfabe when it comes to online.
he's been sending a lot of cryptic.
Very cryptic. He
tweets.
said he's ready to come back. He's feeling the burn again, so he wants to come back. So I
I
want to
love Bray.
see. I want to see
I
him
think
back.
Bray is a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah.
Roman today is definitely one of the best. He's definitely the best in
He is
WWE.
the best.
He's definitely the best in WWE, honestly, because they ain't got much left.
The Tribal
They
Chief,
released everyone
the Tribal
else.
Chief character is better than any character Bray's ever had, though.
No.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
No.
Bray has never been on Roman's level. Roman has 2 championships right now. He got so much championships. His family got championships,
No.
and his family got 2 championships.
So.
Bray, the Wyatt family never had it like
Yet,
this.
yet to this
They
day,
never
a
did it
lot
like
of people still agree that the Wyatt family is one of the greatest factions
Oh, I
of all
agree.
time.
I agree.
So,
I
so
thought
my
Bray
end of the
should-
day is
they didn't
those
see the
titles
show's
don't
success.
mean squat.
They didn't shield. The
Wait.
Shield ended Ryback's undefeated streak.
I'm okay with that one.
It probably would. It
Now,
probably
cold
been
at the time.
Now,
premature,
yeah,
but
Ryback was great at the time.
I thought Bray should have been champion during the Wyatt family.
I feel like
Yeah.
the Wyatt family should have had the belts. Like Bray should have had the world title. Eric Rowan and Luke Harper should have had the tag titles, and Braun could have had any Intercontinental or something like that.
But it didn't happen.
But it
even
never
before
happened.
Braun
But
joined
Roman
the-
made it happen though, and that's what Roman was the chosen one. He was the guy. So if you want to take all that
Well, yeah,
power from Undertaker,
when the boss is already sniffing your crotch from the get go, yeah, you got a pretty good chance of getting what you want.
But it wasn't unmerited. We see Roman. Roman's got the mic work. He's got the ring work.
Now he does.
They saw it.
Took
He
him a
had to
while.
develop.
It took him a while. When he
Yeah,
went up
yeah,
against
it took
John
him a while.
Cena, it was a slaughter.
Yeah, it was.
It was a
I agree.
slaughter.
It was a slaughter.
Roman worked his way up to where he is now, and he's
Because
definitely
they
earned
wanted-
it
they tried
now.
to- they tried
But
to
at
make
the
him.
time, he
They-
was
no,
no different
they
than
tried-
any other schmuck on the
what?
roster.
You already knew Roman was great, but they
Roman
tried
was
to make,
good,
They tried
but-
to make Roman Reigns into another John Cena. When Roman
Which
Reigns
was
could finally
a
be himself,
massive
he proved that he is
over.
the best wrestler in the business.
We also got to give a lot of credit to Paul Heyman. A lot of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
Paul-
don't give
Paul
Paul
helped him draw that out of
Heyman
him.
credit for Roman's success.
Paul Heyman, whether you like him or not, is definitely one of the best
He's-
managers.
And still to this day, one of the greatest promos, one of the greatest characters, managers. He just gets it.
He's just able. He's one of those guys nowadays that knows how to work a crowd with one sentence. He just gets a hold of you so damn fast, and he's got you hooked in before you're his guy.
And he,
does
like,
anything.
the way
He never works until he has the guy who can bring that. He has to have a guy on his level though, because it didn't work with Curtis Axel, it didn't work with Ryback, but it's working with Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns is already that top tier talent.
Well, at the time,
I can't
Roman
give
was
him all
Roman was
the credit
also a
for
little
Roman.
higher up on the board than Curtis Axel was,
Yeah,
and then
I
and
can't
on
give him, it didn't work
Ryback.
with Cesaro, but I can't give him all the
Well,
credit.
they always just drop the
Those
ball
are good
to
wrestlers.
Cesaro every damn time.
Those are good wrestlers. In their own
Which
way.
is great that he finally debuted Claudio. Awesome.
Yeah, I did see that.
I'm saying if I want to end the best streak in wrestling history, I'm giving it to my next top guy, and that's my stance.
I would say you hopefully is the next top guy, but it should have been the way that Brock should never have won it, and whoever beat it first, it would have done wonders for.
Yeah.
You were the guy who finally beat the streak, which is why even though Brock is believable in doing it, he didn't need it.
No.
Brock Lesnar was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, he's already.
He's like he didn't need the title.
agree.
He didn't need anything.
need it.
So we might have to go back to that year and look at the roster and see who would have been probably the best choice at the time.
I'm still gonna stand on either Bray or
Because
Roman.
at the top of my head, I can't
Those are
even.
the two best choices, Bray and Roman.
Bray and Roman at the time. I can't think of anyone else like on their level because at the time it's like Roman was one of the best in the ring, and Bray is one of the best on the mic.
Yeah.
It's like you could never go up against Bray on the mic.
Yeah, Bray was awesome.
And,
He was killing it.
But
that year.
like in Roman, his moves in the ring, he was damn good in the
He was
ring.
dominating the ring.
And we still haven't
So
really
he
seen.
had to work on his
We really haven't
promos.
seen. I feel like we haven't seen Bray's best work because of the characters he's been playing.
Mhm.
Kind of like the Undertaker. He had to talk a certain way, which is why when he went to the American Badass, he had more freedom to talk because you're not limited. So
True.
I don't know if Bray's gonna continue with the sci-fi
But at the same
characters.
Yeah, like
I think he should.
I think he should stick with the horror characters because he does them so damn well.
He does. He definitely
Like
does.
I even read the story of when it was Bray and I think Dusty or Michael P.S. Hayes was coming up with his character with the cult leader one. He said you have to be this character, and apparently Bray had to go to a court. Not he was jury duty. He had to go to jury duty, and so he went to jury duty as Bray Wyatt.
Oh, really?
Fedora,
Oh wow.
Hawaiian shirt, whole deal, and he played the entire character when they were picking people for jury duty. He said, "I didn't get picked, obviously, but that's where he gets so into his characters, which isn't really seen anymore. It's like you see the character on TV, and then you see them online doing
Twitter,
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You see their normal day life. You don't see that with Bray.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a picture every once in a while with him and his wife and his kids.
Yeah, I would say
but that's
Roman
like
stays
far
in
in
character too, though. You know?
Oh yeah,
He
Roman.
does now.
Yeah,
He does now a hell of a lot better than
he
he
hardly
did.
ever was on social media because Roman's really not a terrible, like just a bad guy.
No,
No,
he's a family man.
He's just a
he's a
family man.
major
making money.
family man. He's a great person.
Sometimes
obviously.
he's cool with the fans. Sometimes he's like whatever. He's just living his life. That's
Roman is Roman.
Yeah, he's Roman.
It's like
He's not really a character anymore.
not real. It's
No.
like now it's Roman.
He's being himself. So.
Almost kind of like Randy.
Yeah.
You don't know what Randy is. Randy's Randy.
Yeah.
Randy.
He might be your best friend, or he might stab you in the back. Like Randy's
Get what
Randy.
you give her, Randy.
Like that's how it is with Roman right now.
Randy stabbed so many people in the back, but he loved Matt Riddle. So
Are you
He's
sure
just
it was
not
Riddle, or
just
is it sure it was what Riddle was giving him was making him a lot more agreeable with stuff?
on that note, on
that happy medication and was able to chill out Randy long enough for him to like Matt
Randy
Riddle.
got a lot of injuries, man. I get it. I get you, Randy. I don't feel bad at all.
On that note, we're probably gonna go ahead and end this one, guys. You see, we will agree to disagree on this topic. We'll catch you guys on the next one.